Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Macro Lounge podcast. I'm, of course, your co-host, Chris Bowl, joined by the stunning double pro champ, Rachel Mead. I have to say that. Yes. Queen of Sparkles and all things Dazzly, even though she's no longer wearing her Dazzly headphones, which I feel very left out, because she hasn't offered to bedazzle mine yet, so it's a little bit crushing.
Oh, I should. So, I do have a colour that would work.
There you go. Will it bring out the highlights in my hair? Shut up. Don't even think about it. I can see what you were thinking before you even engaged your brain there. It was like, yeah, don't let her do that one. Anyway, so we talked a little bit last week about introducing a new segment, and we thought we'd start it off this week with the episode with like a real prep moment, eloquently named Sharon's by the lovely wellness pro Brooke O'Keefe. Hope I pronounced that right. She'll tell me off later, I am sure. So we thought, seeing as it was aptly named after her, that we should start off with one of her stories. And Rachel's going to run through that one because I think it's hilarious.
It is a pretty good one. Like, Brooke is just, in general, a character. If anyone doesn't know her, you should. She's amazing. So basically, she says she was prepping for Worlds in 2024 at 2 to 3 weeks out. She'd been prepping since January. It's mid-October. Things were grim. Capital Grim. So she had an absolute cluster of a day. Nothing was going right. One of those prep days. And so she tried to do some posing, okay? So got so frustrated and upset with how she was looking that she just took everything off, lay on the floor of the garage, and just cried. Not doing the hour of cardio she was supposed to be doing. Absolutely not. So just lay on the floor in the garage, naked, afraid, and hungry, and sad. What got her off the floor, you ask? She texted her husband something along the lines of help, no more context, just help. And a few moments later, he walks into the garage to find her curled up in a fetal position, completely naked, gives her a dressing gown and picks her off the floor. Why was she naked?
That would be my question. If I was Craig, I'd be like, huh?
Because, lol. I was posing in my bikini and vividly remember the effort required to put clothes on, just being so overwhelming, requiring so much energy that after taking it off and lying there, it was just easier. Once I was horizontal, that was it.
Yeah, that's definitely a Sharon. Hey, I think we need to give full credit to Craig that he realised that when he got the text from his wife with the help, that he probably stopped and he took a centering breath, and it was like, do I go and see what this is about now, or do I wait? And I think he made the right judgment call of just casually coming in and going, hey, babe.
But also remember, he would have been on prep at this point too.
True.
I'm fairly sure he did Worlds as well. So extra respect for carrying her away, because that's also energy. But yes, definitely, we have all had those days in prep. If you haven't, sometimes, yes, you do just need to lie on the ground and cry in the fetal position for no particular reason, because putting on clothes is too hard.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's why we have the shiny little satin robes, because it's just like, you know, it's a modesty thing. You know, the funny thing is, though, it's like when I hear, you know, that's definitely a Sharon, but when I hear stuff like that, you know, during the prep, all I'm hearing is in a body and brain that's just running on fumes going, no, I'm not doing it. No. Oh, poor thing. We got quite a few anonymous ones as well, which I always think is funny, because you're always like, you try and put two and two together and see who you can come up with. But we did get some doozies. Some of them I can't share in public because they're a little bit... One would get me in trouble, to probably get us cancelled at least twice. But this one I thought was pretty good. So I'm assuming this person's a teacher, judging by what it says. But a couple of days out from my show, thought it would be a good idea to do some baking with my class. This is a criminal mistake when you're in prep in the first place. So as I had barely any kids, we had heaps left over. Instead of handing it out to the other classes, I ate it all. 24 weeks of prep, and I blew it in the last second, and I pulled out of the show. It's like, how badly can you screw up in 24 hours? I feel for you, whoever that was. So yeah, keep those coming. We'll have some more of those next week. I've got about 15 of the anonymous ones here, which I always find that anonymous stuff funny, because it's like, we don't care who you are. There's another.
You could also request not to have your name if you want to.
Yeah, you can. You can also do that. But, no. Well, thank you for that one, Brooke. I think that's going to be a highlight for some people's weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else people can... If you can top nakedness in the garage, I think that will be on the roll.
I don't know how we're going to top that one. That was a pretty good one. Actually, I probably have one that not tops it, but is pretty good as well. I've told you the broccoli story, haven't I, Chris?
Yes.
So, for listeners who don't know, just quick shans from me. My first ever prep, I was absolutely 100% to a T, everything. Everything was measured. And I had a lot of trust in my amazing partner to help me cook some food. Only to one day walk in and find out that as he was boiling our broccoli, just boiled broccoli, I saw him pouring oil into it, into the water of the boiling broccoli. Because why?
Why?
I don't know. Apparently that's just something that you do according to him. I don't know. I've never heard of this before, and apparently he had been doing this the whole time. I lost my shit. I was about 4 weeks out at this point from my first show ever. 4 weeks out, I absolutely lost my shit.
This is why it took him 9 years to propose.
It's been 5 years or 6 years since this incident, and I still have not forgiven him for it. And I will never let him hear the end of it.
Yeah, I don't think you should.
It'd be one thing to put some oil in the pan for like chicken, but because at least there's like a reason for that. But into boiled broccoli.
Or maybe some chili oil or something, just to give it a little... I mean, at least you could have understood the concept behind what he was doing. But yes, anyway.
I still don't understand, but I've never forgiven him for it.
Well, and he's probably not the only partner that has managed to dig himself that sufficiently large hole that he probably will never escape from. Because that's one of the ones that will probably get brought up by somebody in some form of wedding speeches. And at that point, Ed's going to go, shit. You're never going to hear the end of it. But these things happen to more athletes than will ever admit it, which kind of brings us to what today's episode is about, which is talking about the off-season, the growing season. I like to call it the working season, because prep doesn't start 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks out from a show. Prep starts the minute you walk off stage. So,
or the minute you decide you are competing.
Yeah.
And get a coach.
Yep. So what is the off-season and growth season? It's not doing nothing, right? So what are you supposed to be doing in that time? I mean, everybody has different ways, different methods, you know. Rach has things she likes to do, which is generally involves ignoring me. It loosely follows, you know, within a generalization
that's not just an off-season thing. That's a year-round thing.
Yeah, you do get pretty good when you suddenly go, shit, now I actually have to put my foot down. Then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
The focus kicks in. It's like, right, I just wait for it.
I like to push the line right up into the moment I'm not allowed to push the line anymore.
Yeah. We do not encourage this for any athlete listening out there. Do not do what Rachel does.
Don't do what I do. Do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah. So what does the off-season mean to you, Rachel? I mean, when you've obviously been through quite a few. So what's your general approach?
It's time to grow and improve. Like, so you've now, we're saying we've finished our reverse. So we've finished recovering, hopefully, from our prep. At this point, we should be at a healthy, at least maintenance, if not surplus, of calories. You should be trying to put on some intentional weight. So if you are maintaining the exact same weight through your entire off-season, the only way you could really be doing that is either you're not improving or you are building just the slightest little bit of muscle but zero fat. You'd have to lose some fat to do that because math. Weight. So yeah, you would be wanting to gain a little bit of weight in the off season, but you do not want to go crazy with it. We want to make it's intentional weight.
Especially with the female categories, and I just see it happen time and time again with, you know, the growing side, and it's just they just push it too far. It's like, you know, that I need to put on 5 kilos. Well, where did that magic frickin' number come from?
Oh, a lot of time it's 5 kilos above stage weight. I'm like, how?
For some people,
put that on within a week, just water.
Yeah, for some people, that's Sunday. Like, oh, okay. But there's this magic number, right? But there's so many girls you see walking around in their growth season. And look, you can't look stage lean all year round, and you shouldn't be. But you shouldn't be that far away from it, because the reality of it is, the further you push that envelope with fat gain, the harder your prep's going to be. So, you know, you have to be smart about it. But I think the first thing in growth season that you have to get sorted is you've got to restore your health. Because, I mean, prep's not healthy, right? It doesn't matter who you talk to. It's not. I mean, it's not. Health and fitness, that's got absolutely nothing to do with being on stage. Get your health back. Hopefully, menstrual cycle returns to normal if you've had any issues with it going out of cycle. I tend to say to people, I don't even want to sort of entertain that going into a hard push growth side until they've had at least 2 cycles come back in. And that can be hard because some girls don't have a consistent menstrual cycle anyway. So that one kind of like when you've got the experience of working with somebody longer term, you get a bit more of an idea of what's going on. But again, if your health isn't a foundation, you ain't going to grow. Or you're certainly not going to grow and fix those weak points where which you need to be doing. But I think, people underestimate that, right? They either put on too much weight, which makes their prep harder, or they just get
Not
the
enough.
balance wrong. It's like, they don't put enough. And sometimes, I know with some of our team members, getting them to eat enough to grow is half the battle, because it's just, they still get hung up in the, 52 kilos on stage. I'm like, judges don't care. They don't know what you weigh. They don't weigh you in. But getting them to eat, even to be in a small excess, which doesn't have to be high to grow. And that's the thing I don't like when I see so many, particularly bikini girls, less so wellness, they've got more muscle mass, but they just push that weight gain too far. And sure, you don't want to be stage lean. And at the end of the day, you still want to look like you lift, right? You want to, when you're in the gym, you want to look like you're a pro bodybuilder, as Rachel got identified as last week, and now she's still glowing from that one. But you know what I mean? If you push it too far, and you'll see the girls in the gym, they put on, I've seen an Olympian put on 20 kilos and walk on stage at 52. It's like, that can't be good for you. But anyway, so it's just doing that smartly.
I think actually I think that's a good landmark point, I guess. Like in the off season, you kind of know if you're starting to push the weight up too much, if you no longer really look like you lift. Like, I mean, assuming you did originally. But like if you're getting to the point where you look like it's almost like you've never really gymmed before, then it's probably getting to the point where you need to probably stop pushing too much. Obviously, you are not your best judge of that. Usually your coaches. Everyone has prep goggles. In off season, that's actually another thing you do want to just first of all, just enjoy having a little bit of curves back. But second of all, don't look too hard for some of those things. Like a lot of people get very set on having abs. Most females, 99% of females cannot have abs year round and be healthy. It is so rare. It is so rare for females because the way that we store fat, and also just we have to store a little bit more fat. So it is so rare to be able to do that. So yeah, don't get hung up on some of those things, or keeping the lines just it's fine. Just chill out and enjoy the off season. Enjoy having strength back, because obviously off season is for building muscle. So we want to be pushing the weights in the gym. That is your main focus: is eating enough food, eating your protein, and lifting heavy shit. Basically.
Yeah, and that's why I always call the off season the growth season, because that's where you're improving a weakness that may have been identified by feedback, or yourself or your coach have identified that you need to do certain things to place higher. But you're also building confidence. It's not just about building muscle. You're building confidence in the physique that you're creating. You're building that adherence to being able to stick to a plan. If you can't stick to a plan in your growth season, you sure as hell ain't going to do it during prep. So it's,
Actually,
yeah.
one thing that's a little bit controversial with bodybuilding that makes it kind of different from other sports, which is quite hilarious, right? So we've said we do pretty much throw health and fitness out the window a little bit to an extent with bodybuilding. So in bodybuilding, it's actually better to be unfit in the off season. The more unfit you are in the off season, the less cardio you're going to have to do when you start prep.
This goes back to our earlier statement. Don't listen to what Rachel said.
Well, because
No, you're
if
right,
you
you're right.
do, let's say, a lot of running, right? Let's say, because some people do like to go and try new things during the off season, which is fine. You do that, but if you go and run a whole bunch of 10Ks, or you want to get into marathons, your body is going to adapt to that. You are going to get fitter, and you are going to burn less calories by doing that. So now, the amount of calories that you would burn with, let's say, 20 minutes of cardio now takes you, I don't know, an hour.
Yep. That lovely thing, metabolic adaptation, where your body goes, that's what you want to do. Sweet.
It's also just fitness technique, if your lung capacity is better, if all of the things that go into fitness, and we don't need to go into all of that right now, but literally all of the things that impact fitness will make you burn less calories. Your body does not want to burn a whole bunch of calories. We are not designed for it. We're not supposed to.
Body doesn't want to be lean.
No.
It doesn't want to look stage ready.
Yeah, a controversial opinion. It's really good to be unfit in the off season, because then you don't have to do as much cardio in that season.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but I can't actually disagree with that, because as much as I would like to say your health is important during your off-season and you should do at least 20 minutes of cardio a day for cardiovascular fitness, the reality of it is the more cardiovascular fitness you have, the harder you're going to have to work at prep to get your body into that mode. I mean, I have some clients in the off-season, they say, I want to do a marathon. Sweet. You just realize you're going to have to eat a ton more. They're like, more? Yeah. You burn it, you got to eat it. They're like, I didn't really want to go for a run anyway. It's like, yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why most bodybuilders don't run.
Yeah,
But you
actually,
know,
one
so
of
I mean, with the off season, have your fitness goals, but it is something to be aware of that potentially you might want to time it so that there is a break between when you start prep and when you finish that fitness goal.
yeah, that's very wise advice, very wise. But I think that comes down to one of the next things we're going to talk about was training adherence. Training during your growth season is completely different than training during your prep season. I mean, the reality of it is like and everybody's different. They have their ways they like to train. Every coach is different in their approach. But kind of the way I look at it is like the likelihood of you putting on muscle mass while you're in prep and increase and improving on a weakness or a perceived weakness is extremely low. You have to be either a genetic freak or B, roided up to the eyeballs. And even then, doesn't technically work. So your training during your prep season is more about polishing and burning fat and keeping all the lean muscle tissue that you can. Your training during the growth season is about being consistent. It's probably the consistency probably matters more than the intensity, to be fair, because you're sort of more focusing on progressive overload, less than say ego lifting. Yeah, unless you want to you're a power lifter in the off season, then that's fine. Changing programs, like some people like to change programs every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, every 5 weeks. It's just kind of, if it's working and you're improving, unless you're bored out of your tree, why do you need to do it? You know,
Actually, that's a good point to touch on. Programming during the improvement season, or actually just in general, let's say, for each division, you're going to have pretty set exercises that pretty much everyone is going to do.
yeah. There's only
Everyone
so
pretty
many
much is
ways
going
you
to
can
have hip
lift it.
thrusts. Yeah, you don't need to do all the fancy stuff. Like, if you want to do it because it's a bit different and it keeps you entertained, fine. But at the end of the day,
Look, when you're a
don't
top
be too
level,
concerned about it.
yeah, when you're at that level, like when you're at pro status or you're competing in one of the bigger, international shows, the Arnolds or the Olympias or anything like that. Sure, it's about polishing and it's about finessing, but you don't need to be doing the latest version of hip abduction with rotation and spinning on your left foot just because somebody on Instagram has said this is the way you grow the lateral part of your glutes. It's fundamentals work for a reason, people. And that's the reason that it takes a lot of people to get to the muscle size there. I think a classic example is Ashley Kay. They use her again. We sort of talked about it last week with some of the stuff we talked about Fit Model, right? They use her as that. She is the archetype for that division. But the reality is when you look at her, 13 years on since she won her last Olympia, just that progressive training over that time frame, she's twice the size that she was. So, that's just a lot of off-season and a lot of growth.
To be fair, I think she's also not entirely natural, which would help.
Unlikely. Yes, unlikely.
It's very unlikely.
But, I mean,
that does help. But, I mean, again, yeah, no, over time, definitely. Like, it takes time to build muscle, and it takes a lot longer than most people think. Like, oh my god, when I was personal training, my biggest pet peeve, and Chris, you probably would have had this too, is when, especially females, are like, yeah, but I don't want to look like a man. And it's like, you're not going to accidentally wake up one day with a whole bunch of muscle. I wish you could. I've been trying.
Yeah. I've been waking up every morning going, damn it, not today. Son of a... Yeah, no,
There's a reason not everyone looks like a bodybuilder. It's because it's actually really fucking hard to do.
Yeah, it's harder to grow muscle than it is to lose fat, really. And
100%.
And as a general rule. But, I mean, that's why your off-season is like you're learning lift. So, yeah, okay, we talked about you don't need to do all these weird and funky angles. And, man, I've seen some shit come up on social media about... There's a couple of trainers out there, massive followings, and you literally... Now, I'm getting girls text me saying, what do you think if I put this in the program? I'm like,
no.
Why? It's like, you want to look like a dickhead at the gym? Yeah, great, go for it. It's progressive overload. That's what works. We know it works. Everybody has a different way of doing progressive overload. I have the way I like to do it. Everybody else, there's different. They haven't invented a new way of training in over 50 years. I think the last one was Tabata that we actually know works. All this other stuff that's rebranded as X90, FST7, blah, 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 all these different names. They're all riffs on the same shit. They just put a different label on it and marketed it better than other people. So your off-season is about lifting some heavy tin, doing it safely, targeting the muscle groups that you need to improve on, maintaining the ones that are already strong because you don't want to end up looking completely out of the way. And also it's about, I mean, the reality of it is the training, you should be training without being in constant fatigue, right? So if you're in fatigue all the time, if you're just fucking knackered all the time during your off season, you're not going to grow. Rachel likes her rest, so we need to take care of that.
Well, hey, no, we've discovered my body does kind of do really well with rest.
Your body does really well with the fear of doing cardio, right?
That too. But hey, no, because when I was swimming, for example, like I actually, so for context, for swimming, it's very, very rare to still be doing personal best like consistently at like 18 years old. It's not common. Like you're lucky to get one personal best a year at that point usually, especially for short distance. I took off like multiple seconds off my 100, which is a sprint. It's the equivalent of like a 200-meter run sprint. So it's like a minute, so it's not long. And I was still I was doing bang, 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 personal best after personal best because I was only training 4 times a week rather than 9.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, even...
So, depends on your body a little bit, but so, you don't grow muscle unless you rest. You grow during that rest period. If you are just training, you will not grow. You do need to occasionally rest. Actually, side note, I actually saw that question on Reddit the other day, and it just blew my mind because someone was like, do you guys take rest days, like, when you're just, like, feeling, like, a little bit under the weather and stuff? And I'm like, do you not? Like,
again,
what do you mean?
There are people out there that will say, no, it's a program day, you need to be doing it. You know, the whole trust the process, don't question me, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't recover, actually, Seabum came out, I think just last week, and he was talking about how he reduced his volume over time. So from when he first won the Classic Olympia through to his last victory, that he actually reduced the volume in his off-season and found that he was growing better. Why? Because he wasn't fatigued. You know, he had more time for recovery, more time to focus on getting the overload right, training properly, hitting the things. So the thing is, you shouldn't be dying during your growth season. You know, that's just not how it works.
Well, you should be during your gym sessions.
Yeah, but you should be able to recover. And your rest periods are going to be longer during your growth season. You know, you're going to have longer rest periods, probably going to be doing a different type of volume depending on your training philosophies. But generally, your recovery period should be pretty quick based around what your nutrition is and, you know, everything else that's on top of it. But you shouldn't be completely, when you're getting into prep and you're getting into the dark parts of prep, when you're basically, as, Brooke said, prepared to just lay on the garage floor naked, which she lives in the central South Island, doesn't she? So, and I would imagine prep was in the middle of winter, so that would not have been fun.
That would have been cold. She did say she had a dressing gown on, I believe.
Oh, that was
no, she got bought the dressing gown, I think. I lied.
Yeah. So it's a tough one because you want to destroy everything. You want to just go in there and just go hell to leather. But we're not built that way. We're built for recovery. We're slow and steady. That's just the way to do it. And the thing is, it's in that time during your growth season when you're learning to stick to a plan, when your calories are higher and it's an effort to eat. And the reality is, if you can't do that during your growth season, prep is going to expose it.
Which is actually a good point. In off season, you should not. I mean, obviously there's exceptions here for people who do need to lose more weight, but majority of the time you should not be on low calories in the off season, unless it's a strategic mini cut. You should be kind of usually struggling to eat enough because it's usually clean food, which is high volume, and it's very difficult to eat that much. But yes, if your calories are very low, unless you're doing an actual mini cut, that's probably not a good sign. You should be making, in the off season, you should be pushing the food. You should be trying to get it as high as possible so that your body can say, hey, this is now my maintenance, way up here. So when you start prep, you can bring it down. If you're already down here in your off season, where are you going to go in prep?
Yeah. I mean, I saw something the other day that had somebody's prep plan. They started prep on 750 calories. I was like, and as Rachel knows, I get hot under the collar under that sort of stuff. It's like,
I think my cat eats that much.
Yeah, I would say. And judging by the size of the young man already, yes, he probably does. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's about
so much.
It's just insane. I mean, okay.
I'm sorry,
sometimes, you will see some people as they get to the tail end of prep, and particularly at the high level, where they're really, really pushing that extreme conditioning, which you don't need to do in bikini or wellness or fit model or sports model or swimsuit or whatever you want to do. You don't need to do that, but it's like you don't need to eat perfectly during the growth season either. You need to have the patterns.
Please don't measure your vegetables in off season.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you just don't eat enough of them, but don't measure them to be like, oh, I'm having too much broccoli today.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue. But all right, fill your boots. But it's like, I mean, and there's a difference between, as I said, you don't have to eat perfectly, but you need to develop the patterns. I just had a consult with a young lady earlier, and she was like, I don't really like to weigh my food. And I'm like, you're in the wrong sport. Because she's never competed before, and it was like, look, I realize it's a pain in the ass, but the reality is without the data, without knowing what works, we can't make adjustments. So we can't sort of go, well, I think you had 120 grams of chicken. It's like, you might have only been eating 75 because what looks like 100 and something to you may not be right. Somebody who's got more experience under the belt like Rach can probably just go, that's about right. Because he's been doing it a long time.
I was actually about to say the same thing, because I know, like, Ashley Kay, we like to use her as an example. I also listen to her podcast. I know that she doesn't always measure her food. A lot of the time she does eyeball it. But again, she's been doing this for, 15 years?
And then some. From college.
Yeah, so she's at the stage now where she can eyeball it and still be very, very close to what she's supposed to be. She knows, yeah. Yeah, and she would also know if she has been doing it wrong. She would be like, oh, I'm putting on a touch more weight than I should be, or not quite enough. Like, she would know, oh, I need to start measuring my food again to just check it. So yeah, either way, you do need to measure your food in bodybuilding, unfortunately. Even actually, people who don't do bodybuilding, like my partner, for example, he now always measures his food. It's really funny. He never used to, but now, like, he doesn't like not measuring it because, like, let's say you've got a bowl of rice, right? If it's a different bowl, you don't know what it looks like. You can't eyeball it because it's a different fullness.
All right, I know what to get you guys for a wedding present now. Mismatched bowls. Okay. That is just going to fuck with Ed's brain.
Okay, so actually, if you can get deep bowls, like big ones, like we would love you for it because they are really hard to find. Okay, we can't find big bowls anymore.
Yeah, but see, my evil sense of humour would want to buy them all different sizes just to completely mess with Ed's ADHD.
Yeah, like his OCD, yeah. I think they would mess with him a little bit. Yeah. Although, to be fair, all of our utensils are all mismatched. It annoys me. All of our utensils are mismatched, and none of them are neurospicy friendly. It bugs me. I'm constantly digging through our drawers for a spicy friendly spoon or fork. It's rough.
Okay. Right, so wedding gifts sorted. Oh, God. Wedding gifts sorted.
We have square spoons. Why are they squares?
Who the hell makes... What? Who bought those?
I think we inherited them from his family.
Yeah, I'd send them back. But anyway, back on track. So...
Anyway.
In the off-season, right, you don't have to be as rigid. I mean, you do sort of... It means flexibility versus chaos, right? So chaos is just like, screw it, it's the off-season, do whatever the hell you want. You can't do that. You do have to follow a pattern, and you do have to be...
but it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's not going to... You're still going to... You're going to look the same as you did last year. You're not going to improve.
Yes.
So, it's chaos versus flexibility. So flexibility is... Like, I always get some of the team send me a message, oh, can I eat this? And it's like, well, you've already worked it out and said, 90 grams versus this and that. It's like, yeah, fine. It's protein. Fucking eat it. Can I have shrimps? Absolutely. Don't care. But there's that flexibility. There's also that flexibility around relationship time and sort of trying to repair some of the bridges you probably burned in the last 6 to 8 weeks of prep when you just went, I don't want to see your face because you are annoying me on so many different levels right now. And you put oil on my broccoli. Son of a bitch.
You're breathing too loudly. I don't like your breathing.
Yeah. It's chewing for me. That just...
Okay.
That's my... I get... No, I don't want to be around me when that happens. Yeah. Like, that's part of the flexibility, right? It's like you're sort of rebuilding those bridges, getting things going again. So you've got to have that flexibility. So the intuitive eating, it still requires awareness. You've got to be aware of what you're doing. And poor off-season nutrition will show up later in your prep because your prep will be longer. Your prep will have to be stricter. And it's gonna suck. Consistency works, right?
Yeah, no, I would say the most important thing would be definitely to just hit your overall calories and hit your protein. Other than that, you can be quite flexible. Like if you are swapping around your carbs and your fats a bit in the off season, it's not going to make a huge difference because they're not super low. If you're in prep, then yeah, they're probably quite low. You do need to make sure you're hitting your minimum number of fats. But in the off season, yeah, carbs and fats are going to be relatively interchangeable to an extent. I mean, yes, carbs are better for energy, but I mean, if you feel like a bit of extra cheese, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
My calories get to the point where cheese is a protein and not a fat or carb. It's just a protein.
Yep. I just put it in yours as a primary food group and just go, yep, that's what it is. The thing about being an adherence to a program, particularly in your growth, your off season or your working season, whatever you want to call it, it isn't about being robotic. It's about being honest. You do the work, the results will come. And you're eating for a purpose. Whereas prep, you're eating to survive because you've got nothing. Whereas your growth season, you've got a purpose, and it should be structured and it should be planned. And some people do need it to the gram for the entire growth season, because they will, like me, will look at something and go, I want all of that, and I have no self-control, particularly when it comes to candy, which is bad. So
I'm terrible with, I'm really bad with sweets.
Oh, did Jolene tell you that what she got in the mail the other day?
No, what did she get?
She got snakes.
You sent her snakes?
I did send her the low sugar ones though.
Okay. I was going to say, is that to make her actually eat them? Because if she had bought them herself, it would be too guilty, and now she would feel guilty if she didn't eat them because you sent them.
Yeah, I haven't seen a picture of her consuming them, so they could still be hiding in her cupboard. But it's, it's
was that my fault?
Yeah, you got blamed for it. I just
so
wrote
for
on
reference,
the note,
people, I put in the WhatsApp group chat at one point that I was sitting outside the gym eating lollies in my car.
Not only did you put in it, you put a photo of you eating lollies in the car.
And it did open a little bit of a can of worms where the entire team then started asking Chris if they could have lollies in their food plans. Not that lollies were ever in my food plan, I just bought them and put them in my car.
Yeah, Rachel is to be blamed for a lot of things. And I was like, son of...
I enjoy making Chris's life harder.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. It's usually me that throws all these extra projects and you go, and more stuff. I don't want to do more.
It's my revenge.
Yep, I think so. Yeah. What's the other thing about growth season? Well, one of the annoying things about growth season, particularly in this part of the world, in Australia and New Zealand, and the southern hemisphere, as we like to say, the top end of the world, because I've always wondered, who says the US is at the top end of the planet? I mean, at what point did the astronaut go, that's the right way up? I mean, really? So,
Well, it depends on what side of the moon you're standing on.
Exactly. See? Made up shit. And we tend to have the holiday season during the growth season. Whereas in the Northern Hemisphere, they've got a lot of shows that really are going all the way through December and January, and, which I'm pretty sure if we were to put a show on here in January, everybody in New Zealand would go,
nope.
And you can do that? And we're like, yeah, we're not getting a lot of people. Or this will be the qualifying show where nobody actually cut, and they just showed up with, actually probably wouldn't even tan. I have seen a show like that before. It was scary. Yeah, I remember all of us judging, and we were all like, you pick. They didn't realise this was a bit worried. But we have it falls in, the holiday season tends to fall in our growth season, and we talked about that last season, about just being sensible.
Structure.
Just don't get obsessed with the whole thing. So don't.
It's your time to recover mentally too. Like, some people like the structure and they would prefer to be more on plan, but at the same time, just allow yourself like that extra bite. If there's some stuff like at work, or like they're doing a morning tea or something, then yes, you can have like whatever scone or whatever they've got there. Don't panic too much, because it is the off season. It's your time to have those things. When you're more structured and prep, that's when you have to start saying no.
You're not going to ruin your growth season with one meal or 1 week away. You'll ruin your off season by giving up for 6 weeks. But if you decide to, go on a vacation and just be it's not going to ruin it. If you can do maintenance in this part of the world during December, I think you deserve a gold medal, and that's a win unto itself.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, people, I think, underestimate how much, like, you retain, like, literally, because if you take a week off, you're probably holding a little bit of water, and that's why you think you look significantly worse. And yeah, you probably just need a little bit of a pump, and then you'll be sweet. Like, don't stress it. Having 1 or 2 weeks off is not the end of the world. You can have probably 4 weeks off and then get it back within 2. It's not the end of the world.
And I think it's also generally when you're going from the reverse into your growth season, one of the things I think a lot of people struggle with is that, as I said, that loss of identity, because they're not shredded, they're a little bit fluffy. And, it's that exhaustion, having mentally dieted all year, having that focus on being stage lean and all that sort of stuff, so they'll lose that identity because they're identifying with that stage moment. And that's why reverse is such an important thing, is to really just get you back up to that healthy level in a time frame where it's not going to mess with your brain.
And one thing actually I will say as well is, in the off season, it's the best time to do all your posing. Like, I know you might not think it, because you're like, oh, I'm feeling a bit fluffy, I don't look like as good as I want to for my posing, but that is the time when you should be hammering into your brain all your footwork, like your routine, like everything you need to do you can just do it with your eyes closed. So then when you're in prep and you're tired and you don't have as much time because you're doing cardio, that's when you just want to be doing minor adjustments. So make sure that you are practicing your posing all through the off season. Like, even if it's just 5 minutes after your gym session, like 3 times a week, if you just keep nailing that into your brain, then it's just going to make your prep so much easier, because now you know you're posing, it's in your head. You only need to make a couple of minor tweaks. It's never too early to start posing. Please do it through your off season. It's not just a 12-week out prep thing.
And that's part of the discipline, isn't it, of the sport. It's like you should be able to do things with your eyes closed. I'd say the female athletes tend to be a lot more disciplined with posing than the male athletes. And that's identified by how many athletes can't pose on stage. The concept of, I remember one show judging, and there was one guy who was just not a good person, we'll say. And we worked him to death. We made him, recall after recall after recall, because he was literally like, I'm the best thing that's ever existed. And he just couldn't handle it. But that's because he didn't practice. He didn't practice breathing. I mean, posing, particularly when you're competing, it's another form of cardio. I mean, when you're up stage for 5, 10, I mean, geez, what was it, Rach, at Nationals last year? I think each round was 10 minutes or something. You were on stage.
Quite a bit. No, the worst one was Worlds, because I was up there, 5 times? I had 5 different categories to be up there for, and then they held us there for ages.
And
I just forgot how to pose at that point.
You could see you going, like, get this over and over. But that's why you do it during the off season or the growth season, so that it's second nature. You don't have to think about it. It's not a chore. You can do it when you're brain dead and tired. And that's when you have the mental capacity to be able to do it. So don't leave it till the last 12 weeks and suddenly decide you need a posing coach. Same thing with prep. Don't leave it till I've decided I need a 16-week prep, so now I'll hire a coach. It's like a lot of coaches won't take people on just for prep. I won't. It's the magic happens in the growth season. That's when that's when the work goes in. But anyway, so we talked a little bit about, obviously people, as they go into the growth season, they're lacking in identity and confidence. And the reality is, if your confidence only exists when you're at sub 6% body fat, that's really the work that we need to do in the growth season, is to say it's okay to not be shredded, because you physically cannot be shredded and grow at the same time. As I said, unless you're a genetic freak, aka Natalia.
Yeah, no, most people, it is a very good time to work on your mental health as well, because bodybuilding is very hard on your mental health. Putting on the weight once you've competed, it's hard, especially the first time. Mm-hmm. I think as you go through it more and more, it definitely gets easier, but that it only gets easier if you have a good off season. If you have a bad off season, you're obviously going to make it harder, but if you do your off season well, you will make your prep significantly easier. Just think, I've always thought about it that way. Why would you go make your life harder for your prep?
Yeah.
Make your life easier.
You're setting yourself up for success. And it's like, the reality of it is, and we've sort of talked about it before, it's in that off season, as Rachel said, it's where a good prep is earned. So you've set yourself up for it by having the structure. Structure will always beat motivation or inspiration or anything like that, because the reality of it is we can't all be motivated all the time. And if you have the structure, you're just going to go ahead and do it. And things like, the reality is prep season is going to reveal what you did in the off season. And if all you did in the off season was essentially an extension of your prep, then nothing new was going to come. And weirdly enough, even though judges tend to see lots and lots of athletes in a year, they do remember when you come back in the next season and you pretty much look the same as you did last year. And so that they do question, well, what have you improved on? You still look great, but you look exactly the same as last year. And if some new athletes come through, which always happens, that's why sometimes you see some of the girls who you're like, okay, next year's going to be her year. And we've seen it happen with so many of the top athletes throughout New Zealand and Australia. It's kind of like, you always say, next year's going to be that athlete's year. You're like, it was so close. She's definitely nailing it next year. And then this complete
Someone just comes out, yeah.
And you're like, shut. And if you have to really suffer in prep, and this is really particularly for the female classes, male classes, yeah, they have to suffer because different level of leanness and that stuff. But if you have to suffer really hard, it means you didn't do your off season properly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, off season is, yeah, definitely. It's in a way harder than prep. Prep is basically just being tired and hungry. That's pretty much the challenge of prep. It's willpower. But off season is actually, you have to put in the work. You have to be intentional about it. You're being a little bit smarter. You have to train properly to grow, making sure you're focusing on that mind-muscle connection. Whereas when you're in prep, you can kind of get away with just doing not the bare minimum, but just kind of working the muscles to just maintain. You're not actually having to tear them to shreds to grow. That's much harder.
I mean, during prep, it's a time. The more time you spend training, the more result you'll get. And so it's less about personal bests. It's less about, destroying the body. It's literally the more time you put under the iron, so to speak, the more calories you will burn. I was reading an interesting study, a little bit controversial. Some academics were supporting it. Some were saying, meh. But one of them was saying that the percentage difference of when you're in a calorie deficit doing cardio versus doing resistance training, the percentage that relates to the deficit is higher doing resistance training than it is doing cardio. I think it was saying something along the lines that if you were burning 200 calories doing resistance training, about 75% of that will continue on to a deficit, allowing you to continue to lose weight. Whereas with cardio, if you're just doing cardio, only about 50% of that applies. Your deficit isn't really a true 200 calorie deficit because of the way our body works. Kind of like, just because you burn 200 calories doesn't mean you're actually 200 calories in the hole. You might only be 50 calories in the hole, which is kind of a pain in the ass if you're eating to that. So more time you spend in the gym, better result. That's
And
what I
yeah,
say.
eating more food, eating all the food.
Yeah, it's all
Have
about
to
the
fuel
food.
your body. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just making sure that where you need it, use the time to do things that you can't do on prep. Like, I know some people want to go try other sports, they want to have other challenges, you maybe want to do some strength work. Let's say you want to get some PBs on your lifts, you can do that in the off season. Can't really do that in prep because you're hungry and tired.
Yeah, there's very few athletes out there that can achieve that during the tail end of their prep. So, but again, I think the whole thing really in this episode that we wanted to stress is the importance of the growth season, the importance of creating those systems and the balance and the support networks around you. It's like, this is the time to engage coaching or engage training partners, because this is really when you need it. Waiting till you're 16, 18, 20 weeks out and deciding that you need help, you're not doing yourself any justice. I mean, yes, you might be saving money, but at the end of the day, you want to get on stage always being better than you were last time. And if it's your first time, you want to be in the best shape of your life. If it's your 20th time, you want to be in a better shape than you were on the 19th time. So use your growth season as the time to make sure that those foundations and those habits are everything in place. Because the reality is, when you're running in a fairly substantial deficit, and carbohydrates become a thing of dreams or nightmares, depending on where you're at, it's those foundations that you've built during this growth season are what's going to get you through.
No, definitely. I think whatever your goal is, the off season is where you will either achieve that or not achieve that generally. As we said, like prepping is just dieting and cardio. That's literally, that's it. You're just in a calorie deficit. All you're doing is eating less and burning more calories.
Prepping is just
off-season
math. It's just math.
Yeah.
It's literally
When
just
you're in the
math.
off season, that's when you have to be intentional and working towards your goals.
Yeah.
Preppers just get lean. Off season, I need to grow said body part. I need to do this. It's very intentional. If you don't, let's say you don't really worry as much about making huge amounts of progress and you just compete for fun, that's fine too. Your off season will reflect that. So whatever you do in the off season is what is reflected on stage. Like, you don't get on stage and just suddenly look completely different just because you dieted again, or you have to actually make those changes in the off season. I think that's probably the main point of today.
And when we get into a little bit closer to the prep season, I think, how many weeks away from the first New Zealand show now, Rach? Did we say 10?
Yeah.
From the NZIFBB Invictus Auckland show. Obviously, anybody doing that show is probably getting close to halfway in prep now already. So more power to you. Training through Christmas, I take my hat off to. But when we get closer into the full, probably season B, we'll start talking a bit more about prep and then how that goes. So yeah, I mean, basically plan for it now. Create the structure now. Put your resources and your support networks in place now. Reach out to people like myself and Rach, and we're always here to help, from shoes, bikinis, posing, nutrition. We're not here to stand on anybody's toes. It's just our opinions, and we're always happy to help if we've got the time. So please do that. Also, make sure you keep your Sharns coming, because we need to top Brooke's one. So anybody who can top nakedness in the garage, Brooke, you're not allowed to submit one, because I'm a bit worried about where you will take it up to. If you have to take it up another notch, it could go sideways very quickly. Do keep those coming.
Banned.
Yeah. We'll have to edit hers. It's like, we'll have a Brooke file, and then we'll have everybody else, and we'll just start thinking,
Brooke's Shine of the Week.
Yeah, what did Brooke do this? Okay, Interesting. I might just have to
We
start
might have to
texting.
get her on the podcast at this point.
We probably have to. Yeah. That's a good idea. God, can you imagine that? Jeez. All right, Brooke, tell us. We'll just make it an entire episode of disasters. It'll be great. It'll be fine.
Entire episode of Chance. Anyway, there was something I was going to say, now I've forgotten what it was, but that's okay.
It'll come back to you probably in about half an hour after we've wrapped all this up.
Probably.
Anyway, but yeah. So do the work now. And remember, this is the fun part, I reckon, the growth season, because most of us go to the gym because we like to sort of go all She-Hulk and He-Man on stuff and just throw some heavy stuff around. But it's the fun part because you get to eat a little bit more, you get a little bit more of a lifestyle. But again, this is the most important part. This is when whatever you do now is going to show on stage in 20 weeks' time. Don't cut it off. Just focus, get it done.
And I
That's
did
all
actually
I
know
have
what I
to
was
say.
going to say.
Oh, good. What'd you come up with?
If you are a first timer, especially, or just maybe you don't know a lot of people, don't be afraid to just message anyone, like to us as well, or just anyone in the community. Usually, bodybuilders, especially the females, are very good with just becoming friends through Instagram. Like, we are a very stalking-based sport. We like to stalk each other on Instagram. So, majority of the time, don't feel bad to just message someone and or reply to their story. Because usually, you'll a lot of the time end up getting some really good friends out of it. There's been a lot of people that I've pretty much just met through Instagram, and then we've ended up competing together and stayed good friends afterwards. So yeah, don't be afraid to just message someone on Instagram. Anyone, or if you need help with your prep, any competitor, most will be very happy to help you. Anyone with experience, most will be very happy to talk to you about it and just make sure that you're getting the right advice and just got some good people in your corner, because it can be very hard to meet people in bodybuilding depending on where you live.
Yeah, it's a relatively solitary sport, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be. Rach and I will be doing a couple of, we're going to do 4 meet and greets. Is that what we're talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, 4 of those. We'll do some of those. So when those things pop up in your cities, take advantage of them. You're going to meet like-minded people. And again, during your growth season, it's the perfect time to do it, because just have fun. The sport's not supposed to be tedious. It's relatively boring because it's just lifting shit up and putting it down, but this is the time to have some fun, right?
Exactly. So, I think we probably wrap it up there. We've probably talked your ear off enough for today. Make sure you just get in contact with people, have fun while you have the energy to be social, because on prep you will not. So, before you go, make sure if you enjoyed the episode, you hit like and subscribe, give us a comment, all of the good things, whichever platform that you're on, everything, because it helps us get more reach, get more people listening, and that's all from me.
I feel now that I'm ending up, I need to come up with my thing. Rachel's got, she missed it. She's supposed to, she's missed her key thing. So, but that's all right. I'll say it. So, we'll see you all next Monday. Enjoy.